Oh, the tight end position. We have no idea who to start outside of Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews each and every week. We have some names here for you that I feel confident in starting, that you guys should be starting, maybe picking off the waiver wires. They could be available in some of your leagues. So we're going into our start sits for the tight end position. As a reminder, this week, guys, Jags, Dolphins, Seahawks, and Bucks are all on a bye week. So keep that in mind, and let's get straight into the start sits. My first start tight end is Cole Kmet, baby, versus the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons currently give up the 8th most fantasy points to the tight end position. He is everything and more to me. He was a my guy, a guy that I believed in. This is the type of work that I was expecting. He wasn't going to get crazy targets. He was going to get the touchdowns and be consistent in the end zone because the opportunity is there. If you see all his snap percentages, he's been on the field 90+% of the time each and every game, and that is the Cole Kmet that I believed in coming into the season. Week 9, caught 5 out of 6 targets for 2 touchdowns, 22 fantasy points. Week 10, caught 4 out of 7 targets, 2 touchdowns, 23 fantasy points. He has scored 5 touchdowns in the last 3 games. Let's ride the hot hand with Cole Kmet and start him with confidence going into week 11. My second start tight end this week is Greg Dulcich versus the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders currently give up the 5th most fantasy points to the tight end position. Greg didn't have the best game this past week against the Titans. Only caught 1 reception out of 4 targets, 2 fantasy points. But the good thing is here is that Jerry Jeudy is out. Shout out and rest in peace for all the Jerry Jeudy owners. He's considered day-to-day, so it's not an Achilles or an ACL tear, which is good. But he couldn't be missing some time. But Greg should be stepping up here, right? Greg Dulcich came in and he stepped up the first 3 weeks of his career. Week 6, 12 fantasy points. Week 7, 11 fantasy points. Week 8, 12 fantasy points. I think that's exactly what's going to happen against the Raiders, once again, who give up the 5th most fantasy points to the tight end position. So start Greg with, I want to say Greg the Leg. That's what we used to call Greg Zerline. I'm trying to find a good nickname for Greg. Let me know. Comment down below if you have any cool nicknames for Greg Dulcich, but start Greg with some confidence going into week 11. My third starting tight end this week is Dalton Schultz versus the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings currently give up the 9th most fantasy points to the tight end position, and Schultz did this thing this past week, caught 6 out of 8 targets and a touchdown, over 17 fantasy points, and I think that's exactly the similar output that he's going to do going against the Vikings. The Vikings, an incredible game versus the Buffalo Bills, and I think that's exactly the thought process you have. This team is going to have to throw the ball. This team is going to have to do everything in its power. The Cowboys, I'm talking about specifically, is going to have to do everything in their power to try to win against the Minnesota Vikings. This is a good team, and he has to contribute in some way. So I think Dalton Schultz is a smash start going into week 11. And at number 4, my 4th starting tight end start this week is Daniel Bellinger. I know it hasn't been confirmed as of yet, but we're not going to give you, your typical tight end starts, your Travis Kelce's, your Mark Andrews, your TJ Hawkinsons. Those are, your Dallas Goederts. Those are the guys you're going to start with confidence, right? Daniel Bellinger is a guy that you can potentially pick up waiver wires right now. It hasn't confirmed that he's going to be back in week 11, but if he does start, this is a great matchup. He is playing the Detroit Lions. The Lions currently give the 3rd most fantasy points to the tight end position. One thing I want to remind you about his injury is not he didn't pull a hammy, he didn't twist his ankle, he got poked in the eye. Right, so when he comes back, he's physically ready and sound to play. He's just waiting for his vision to kind of get back up, and that was already reported that his vision is 100%. They wanted to just ease him in, and he should be ready for week 11. The reports hasn't come out yet, so keep that in mind. He may not play this week, but if he is available in waiver wires, if you need a starting tight end, Zach Ertz just went down. Mark Andrews, we don't know if he's going to be in question or starting going into week 11. And if you do need a tight end, Daniel Bellinger is a great guy to start, mind you. He's been on a hot run before, the injury. Week 5 against Green Bay, 10 fantasy points. Week 6 against the Baltimore Ravens, 14 fantasy points, right? So that was kind of the thought process that was happening before he got injured, before he got poked in the eye in week 7. So I think you're going to find that he is, Daniel Jones, one of his favorite targets. He doesn't get crazy targets, but he's his favorite target in the red zone specifically. So if you can pick up Daniel Bellinger and start him with confidence, that's what I will be doing. Start Daniel Bellinger with confidence. As always, we have to bring you our start tight ends of each and every week, but we also have to bring you our sit tight ends of each and every week. And my first sit tight end this week is Kyle Pitts versus the Chicago Bears. The Bears currently give up the 5th least amount of fantasy points to the tight end position. Kyle Pitts this past week against the Carolina Panthers on Thursday night caught 2 out of 8 targets, just under 5 fantasy points. He's been up and down all season. He's been very inconsistent. It's been very disappointing for a talented guy like Kyle Pitts. It's definitely the quarterback play. Marcus Mariota is not the answer. We hope to see Desmond Ridder. He only had 1 game that we really said, hey, this is the Kyle Pitts we believe in, which was week 8 against the Carolina Panthers, where he had over 19 fantasy points. I can't be starting Kyle Pitts with confidence going into week 11, so I'll be sitting him. And my second sit tight end this week is Dawson Knox versus the Cleveland Browns. The Browns currently give up the 4th least amount of fantasy points to the tight end position. Josh Allen just lost to the Vikings. It was disappointing. He threw 2 interceptions, 2 game-crucial interceptions, right? And not that Dawson Knox won't be included into this matchup, but he hasn't been that home run hit that we also could have hoped and expected coming into this year. This past week against the Vikings, which, by the way, garbage points, caught 4 out of 6 targets for 9 fantasy points. Week 5, only 5 fantasy points. And week 8, 9 fantasy points. He's not that home running hitting guy. There's definitely better options. I'll be starting all of the, my start tight ends of this week over Dawson Knox. So I'll be sitting him going into week 11. Guys, as always, we like to say good luck. Make sure you continue to grind. Do what you got to do going into week 11. We go live 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Saturday to answer all your Start Sit questions. Let me know. Once again, Greg Dulcich, some nickname for everything. The first thing that comes to mind is Greg the Leg, which is not true because he's not a kicker. Comment down below. We'll answer all your fantasy Start Sit questions 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, and good luck in week 11.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos,
watch it.
You can also subscribe
right now
if you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/FantasyLand fam.